Greetings, viewers. Recently, I uploaded a video about installing Windows 95 from floppy disk. What's more insane than installing Windows 95 from floppy disk? Installing Windows 98 from floppy disk. I did not know that there actually was a floppy version of Windows 98, but there is. And it comes on a grand total of 38 diskettes, and these are DMF formatted diskettes as well, so it's a lot of diskettes. That being said, I think OS2, some of the various flavors of OS2 came on more diskettes than just 38. But this is pretty insane, and not something that I would recommend for the faint of heart. But we're doing it because I have this computer right here that needs the reinstallation of Windows 98, and you know, why not just do something absolutely insane with it? Something that I have not done. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the boot disk. Power the computer on. This is a Dell Latitude XPI CD model M166ST. I upgraded the RAM. There's nothing on the hard drive that's really worth saving. At least I didn't see anything. So, I'm going to want to F3 exit, and I'm going to just go into F-disk here. Oh, there is no F-disk. That's kind of interesting. It's got a format tool. Well, we can quick format it, in theory. Let's see if we can. Okay, well, it quick formatted. So now we should be able to run setup. Please insert the following disk. I want setup disk 1. And here comes the very slow process, no doubt, of installing Windows 98 to floppy. Via floppy. I don't know if I'm going to take care of the actual installation of drivers in this video. I might just do a straight Windows installation without going through anything else. Alright, Windows 98 setup. It might actually take 60 minutes. This will be a real-time process, so this video is probably not going to be interesting to anybody. It's just something completely insane that I don't think very many people have tried. I don't think very many people have got the cojones to try and do something like this, but, you know, most people are sane and they try and save time. Here I am wasting it by using floppies on a system that's got a CD-ROM drive. But that's okay. It's a powerful eject mechanism on that floppy disk drive. I know that these diskettes did fall on the floor at one point. I hope they're all in the right order. Guess we'll find out. I did check some of them just to make sure, but I didn't check all of them, because obviously checking 38 disks, 39 disks if you include the boot disk, is kind of a pain. And it was only the top little bit of the stack that fell over anyway, so no sense in having to check it all, right? Okay, I accept the license agreement that I read very carefully. And now it wants a product key. Alright, install to C Windows. Let's see if that directory exists. Which it shouldn't, because that should have been formatted. 122 minutes. 2 hours. More than 2 hours. Yikes. I'm not surprised. So, could be going for a little while. Okay. I want a custom install. I always go for a custom install. Yeah, whatever. I don't really care. Huh. Well, alright. I guess I already used these. Probably for a virtual machine. Just to make sure that they actually worked. I don't need the accessibility options. Let's see. We'll install the desktop wallpapers. I don't think I really need to... Oops. Yeah, I would like to have that, please. It's not going to have any of the themes or anything, which is fine. I don't really need those on every last machine. So that should be good to go. Audio compression. We'll go ahead and we'll leave that. Dial-up networking. I don't really think I need any of that. Media player. I don't need multiple language. I don't need personal web server. System tools. I don't need the compression tools. But I think everything else should be good to go. So the computer name. So that should be good. Regional settings are okay. Setup will create a startup disk. I don't want it to create a startup disk. Okay, well, we'll leave the source disk in. That seems kind of dangerous. I would rather it not make a startup disk. It's probably formatting that disk behind my back. I think, where's the message? Okay, what's going on? What a painful process. I would really prefer it not make a startup disk. I'm not sure why it wants to make one. Label a disk. Cancel to skip creating. Yes. I would like to cancel, please. I don't want one. Now we will begin to copy files. There we go. I'm going to try and get this to where you can read the text on the screen, as well as maybe see the time remaining. And you'll get to hear background noise, which may or may not be advertiser friendly. I haven't even used any of the floppies yet. Please insert disk 1. Alright. That's this disk. Please insert disk 2. It's a good thing I'm using a hard drive based camera to record this, as opposed to one that uses tape. I'm sure I'd need at least 4 mini DV tapes to do this. I wonder if you can hear the floppy drive making noise over top of the background noise. You know, I'm sure there were people who did this back in the day.
You fucking noob! You fucking idiot! How?
I just hope that it's not going to start asking me for, like, please insert disk 3, then insert disk 7, then 1, then, you know, out of order. That'll be a pain. Windows 95 didn't do that. I think it's laid out in such a way that it won't do that.
How did you miss this auto? You didn't hit one auto. You were like 16. Now you're the one who had to hit that. How? How did you miss every? You had to hit one. 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 How? It does not matter. If you play out friends, you should just be playing tank. That's what it matters. This game's over. You have to take it off.
Okay, the fact it's still at 19% is kind of ominous with respect to how long this process is actually going to take. Because that's now, I think, 3 or 4 discs that I've put in here, and it's still at 19.
Somebody fucking full on mental panic attack.
Hey, we're on disk 10. Come on. Sometimes diskettes do not want to go into that floppy drive. Oh wow, it moved to 20. Something's happening. I have a strange feeling it's going to ask for random disks. getting bored yet. Be interesting to see what the analytics data has to say about who watches this video and how far into the video they actually watch it. Wager to bet that nobody's going to watch maybe more than 30 seconds. But I don't do clickbait on this channel, so you're going to get what you get. Full, unedited, with the exception of entering the product key. And I guess if a floppy ends up being bad, I'll have to do some editing, but should be no other reason to have to edit this video. I'm not going to time-lapse it. Unless, of course, it takes like 5 hours or something. I don't think I'm going to upload a 5-hour-long video. But 2 hours... I mean, even then, maybe even 2 hours might be a bit much. But I did say it wasn't going to be time-lapsed, so I'm going to stick to that unless it's like ridiculously long. So you can get the full immersive process. Or I guess the term is full immersive experience. Not process, but... oh, you know what I mean. At least the progress bar is moving now. Oh, the features of Windows 98. Many of which were done elsewhere and better, faster, before Windows 98 integrated them into the operating system. Don't get me wrong, some integration is fine, but some of it not so much. To think we're not even halfway through the process yet. Like I was saying in the Windows 95 videos, some of these discs sound better than others. I guess it's just a quality control thing. Now, the one thing that I think is probably going to be problematic, because I did this from floppy, is I might end up having an issue where the CD-ROM doesn't work. Now, on this particular system, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Because I'm not going to be... I wonder. Let me see if I can hot plug in a PC card. Oops, I need to change the desk. So we'll try and, I am going to try and install an Ethernet card on this machine. But I don't really think I'm going to need the CD-ROM drive for anything on this, but I mean, it would be nice to have it. Because this is an XPI CD. That's kind of one of the whole big deals of it. We might as well make as many things work as possible. So the CD, the audio, and the video are really the only three things that matter. And any other devices that happen to have Windows 98 drivers. Because Dell still has the drivers for this machine. At least most of them. There isn't an audio driver for Windows 98. So I wonder if Windows 98 has got a built-in audio driver for this system. It's an ES1887 audio drive, I believe. So hopefully it does, but I guess we'll find out if it does or not. I know that almost certainly the Neo Magic NM2090, or I think that corresponds to a Magic Graph 128V. I know that that almost certainly does not have a Windows 98 driver on the disk, so because Neo Magic tended to not be included with Windows. I'm not sure why. They're a pretty popular chipset, especially in laptops of the Pentium era. I don't know. Did they? I think they must have made some standalone cards. Almost certainly. Cirrus Logic did. And when you think of Cirrus Logic, normally you think of integrated video, so maybe. Might almost be worth looking into that. See if there is one out there, see if you can find one for a reasonable price, try it out and see what it can do. So far it's been sequential, but I just cannot shake the feeling that that's going to change. Especially since we're still not even halfway through this process. And I've almost run through all the floppies. Well, I guess not. There's still 12 more in the stack to go through. I guess the progress bar is moving a little bit more than it was previously. I'm sure if you go scouring YouTube, you'll find a video of somebody doing this in a virtual machine. I mean, it's not the same in a virtual machine. Virtual machines are so much faster than the actual physical hardware. You don't have to wait for a floppy to seek, which is what takes the most amount of time, because the floppy drive is the slowest part. Even slower than the mechanical hard drive, let alone any of the other components. It's at 50% now, at least. I think we're at the 1 hour mark, but I don't know, because I didn't actually keep track of when I started. I think it was 12:30, roughly, when I started this process, and it's now 1:30. Progress bar is moving quite a bit now. Year 2000 ready. What a big deal that was. Can't wait for it to start being a problem. It already is a problem with some devices. Their calendars. Well, it's a minor problem. It's more of a different problem, really. Can you call it a different problem? I don't think you really can. But it's certainly not as widespread of a problem because everything seems to have a, a different, cutoff point. At which point the calendar runs out of years and loops back around to wherever it started. I've had some cameras in the past that wouldn't get into the 2020s. I got a bunch of them that are not Y2K compliant. We're less than 60 minutes now. So we are getting somewhere. You know, it's kind of funny looking at some of these things and about how much more reliable and stable and dependable Windows 98 was supposed to be. The reality was quite far from that. I mean, for its time period, I guess it wasn't too bad. At least Windows 95. There we go, reliability, look at that. But Windows 95, I guess, wasn't too bad. I was never a fan of Windows 98, and I'm still not. Just because of the Internet Explorer shell and the forced integration. You know, I don't really want to have a web browser on the system doing everything, so, you know, it just takes up unnecessary space and eliminates user choice. You know, I guess it really doesn't ultimately matter, because these days people do the same thing, you know. Every operating system comes with its own browser, you know, and you're free to choose whether you want to use that browser or not. But back in the day, it wasn't quite so clear-cut, because there were a lot of web technologies that were tied into the web browser. ActiveX, Java controls were not necessarily cross-browser. Some of that was caused by Microsoft. You know, there's a lot of stuff that went on that in a perfect world it would not have gone that way, but this isn't a perfect world, so this is what we're stuck with. But Windows 99X, and in particular 98, and especially Millennium Edition, they were not really all that reliable. You know, you could find really, really screwy ways to mess them up. And they wouldn't last very long. It's not like a Windows NT system that can run for years without any real maintenance. You know, in a way, it's almost like what the Macintosh turned into, the original Mac OS, towards the end of its life. Because it was pretty bad for that, too. OS 9, in particular, was not necessarily the most stable thing in the world when confronted with more modern programs, because it really didn't have a proper multitasking system. A part of the problem with Windows 9X is that it's still based on DOS, so it still has to deal with all of the problems that DOS has, in addition to the problems that Windows has. So, it was a different time. Notice we're now down to 39 minutes. And we're at 80%. So, not the most accurate counters in the world. Staying on the video. So. Tell there's a lot more hard drive activity now. Have your mouse pointer leave a trail. That was a big deal back then too. Passive matrix displays and their low refresh rates made it very easy to lose the mouse cursor. We don't have a problem with this one. This is actually, I believe anyway, yeah, this would have to be an active matrix display. So it's not really, it's not easy to lose the cursor like it would be on a passive matrix display. But you get all that ghosting effect on. Of course, a passive matrix display also drives the cost down of the laptop a few $1,000s. So could be the difference between having a laptop and not having a laptop at all. So, especially when color first started reaching the scene in laptops. At 30 minutes, give or take, I know also includes all the rest of setup that comes after it's done copying all the files as well. So, this could still take about 30 minutes. But we are very slowly reaching the end. Did anybody ever use Windows Update on Windows 98? Kind of really does make you wonder. 'Cause I never heard of anybody using it. I certainly never used it, but of course, by the time I got my first Windows 98 system, Windows 98 was well past its prime, and Windows XP was... No, actually, yeah, it would have been 2001. 2000, 2001. So, somewhere in there would have been when I got my first 98 machine. So yeah, Windows XP would have been just around the corner. And I remember my first XP machine as well. Shoehorn that onto a system that really... that excuse me, that it's not really meant for. Didn't really work all that well, but it seemed so new and so exciting at the time. You don't get that kind of excitement with computers anymore, but of course everybody's got a computer now, so... back then it was a new thing to the household. And it was in select few households because, you couldn't really afford to get a computer unless you really needed one for your work. Or you were a CEO or something. Because computers were not cheap. You think about it, it took until the late 90s for machines to break the $1,000 barrier. Somewhere in there. E-machines. Of course, E-machines was the late 90s. So maybe I'm thinking of something else. E-machines is really the first the first one to drive the affordability kind of market term with their never obsolete systems. I remember those. Yeah. What a marketing term. Of course, they didn't really mean it that way, but now that's about what I think of the phrase never obsolete. I'll try to work it into the video somehow. I'm sure you can hear it. It's always when I'm recording a video, people gotta make noise. Could be silent as a pin, 3 o'clock in the morning. As soon as I start a video camera, the noise starts happening. Every time. Oh, whatever. Hopefully I can get through 8% from this one disc. And it won't ask me for some random other disc. Wouldn't you know? Of course it will. Alright. So, we'll take that out. So that's it for the disc set. Now, disc 15 should be in this. Right here. So let's see if I'm going to get this right. This should be disc 15. Oh, it must be disc 15. Cool. How much do you want to bet it'll be 20 minutes of disc swapping like this? What a pain. Please insert disc 18. Of course, none of these are labeled, because I'm not going to label them. I don't really feel the need to label them. So they're just going to end up getting wiped and used for something else after I'm done with this anyway. I'll have to get another set. Please register your copy of Windows 98. Good luck with that. We're finally approaching the end of the file copy process. So that is the last screen. If this were done from CD, it would be done already. And I'd be wrapping up the video. I divided them up into sets of 10 discs just to make it a little bit easier to find what I was looking for. And a stack of 39 is rather unwieldy anyway, so... Can we move from 95, please? Man, does this ever take forever? And I was saying how fast it was moving, too. And now it's just, doing this mess. You have to think that these are probably files that could have copied beforehand. So tedious. It's gonna want another disc, or is this it? %. That's usually where the problem comes. Here we go. Now ready to reboot. Remove all discs. And press OK. Or hit the Enter key. Hit it again. Restart now. Getting ready to run Windows for the first time. Isn't this exciting? Okay, we'll bring this up so we can actually see it. Are we using a PC card to install Windows? No. Do we want real mode drivers? No. Shouldn't need real mode drivers. Should be for the Ethernet, which it remains to be seen if that'll actually work under 98. I know it works under NT4, so it should work under 98, but sometimes those things are not a given. It'll probably reboot the computer at least once while setting up the hardware. Because it doesn't want the floppies. I'm okay with that. I am more than okay with that. Oh, here comes the non-plug-and-play hardware process. The most exciting video on YouTube. I got other things I probably could have been working on instead of this. Let it reboot again. Should be a little bit faster than it was if you remember the previous video, simply because it's got more than 16 megs of RAM to work with. Windows 98 really needed a lot more than 16 megs. Of course, I'd argue it needs more than 48 megs too, but it should be happy, hopefully. I'm not sure if the display has changed. I think the mouse cursor has changed. Now we're setting up hardware again. Okay, here we go. Time zone. Well, it's not Pacific time. I can fix the date and time later. Always wants to read the floppy while doing that. 2 minutes. 1 minute. Oh, we're really getting down to the brass tacks here. And we are approaching the 2-hour mark, I do believe. This is a Pentium 166 with MMX. It's definitely running 640 by 480. You can tell. Setup will restart. Remember when laptops used to make that sound? With a PC card inserted? This is a similar sound when you remove them. This has got a really loud PC speaker. Well, it might be running in high color mode. Yeah, it looks like that might be running in high color mode. Ew, internet exploder. I didn't hear any sound, though. Yeah, I still don't hear any sound, so... Guess the audio driver did not load. Oh, it's got the channel bar, too. Close. Close this channel bar, which has nothing on it. No, I do not want you to display the channel bar, please. Settings! Yeah, look at that. It figured it out. Now, I don't know, is this 1024 by 768? No. I'll say yes. It's an 800 by 600 display, though. Yeah, here we go. I do want to keep that. Let's see if we can go above high color. No, we can't do 24-bit. We can do high color, though. We'll apply that without restarting, and hopefully it will work. Some programs don't like that, but... Let's see what we can find in the device manager that is not installed. Yeah, it installed a 1688 audio drive for whatever reason. And that is an error with the interrupt request, I guess probably because it installed the 1688 audio drive. So I am going to remove that. And we'll see what happens. Network adapters. The Zircon card shows up without any intervention, which is amazing. The CD-ROM shows up without any intervention. That's like the most painless Windows 98 install I've ever done in my life. Well, we've got a D drive here. What is on this? What is this? Palm Pilot profile. Huh. Yeah, that's somebody's Palm Pilot. It's got all the files still on it. Neat. That's great. So I might have to annex that into the existing drive. But that'll have to come later. Actually, I don't even really know how you do that. don't think you can do that. So, I'll just leave it alone. It's not hurting anybody, really. So, I'm going to reboot. Actually, here's what we're going to do. Let's see if I remember how to do this. I know there was a key that you press. Yeah, there we go. If you press shift, you'll get a quick reboot. So it doesn't completely... Can you focus, please? It doesn't completely reboot the system. It just basically exits out of Windows and goes back in. Saves a lot of time. So we'll see if the sound works after we remove the 1688 audio drive. Because it was complaining about a code 12, which is an IRQ conflict. Which would make sense because it's got 2 sound cards installed that are presumably trying to use the same IRQs. And that won't work. That will not work at all. I'd still be surprised if it works. But it does. See? It's that easy. I don't have to install any drivers. I don't have to do any work. That's really impressive. I like that. Of course, the speakers don't get really loud. So, I'm going to get a final tally for how long that took, and I'll come back with some finalizing remarks. Okay, so the tally is that it took about an hour and 50 minutes, roughly, to install this from Floppy. Which is quite a long time when you consider from CD. Most of the time when I install Windows 98 from CD, it takes anywhere from about 25 to maybe 40 minutes. You know, less than half the time. The speakers on this thing do not get very loud. That's the best that you get. And of course, there are no real media files. It's one of the things that they cut out. You can see that's all you get for sounds. So maybe I'll add the sounds back at some point. I probably will. Just like with the Windows 95 machines that I did from Floppy. But everything should be okay. Shouldn't be anything that I need to adjust, change, or do. Of course, what we do need to do is we need to set up our screensaver. 3D Maze, which is the only screensaver that matters, of course. You can see what this chipset's capable of. It's actually doing quite a good job with the OpenGL video, which is what this is. So, I mean, that was a scintillating success, even if it did take almost 2 hours. So let's see. We'll set it to triangles. Alright, so there we go. The computer is customized, and I think we are good to go with that. So thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off, and I hope to see you next time. Till then.